Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Printing's Alive with me, yes, your host, Warren Werbitt. Today, as always, I try to bring on very special guests within the industry. And today we have Erik Norman of SwissQ Print. How's it going, Erik?
Great, Warren. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure's mine. So, you were probably the first OEM machine type of guy that I've had on the show because I generally don't like OEMs. No, that's not true. What I don't like is I don't like public OEMs. I don't like equity owned OEMs because they're all about the money. And once you make the deal, it's all about the contract. So I don't usually like to have them. But I happen to know SwissQ for a long time. I've known you for a little bit. And along the way, I've spoken to a bunch of printers that have your equipment and really only had the nicest things to say about the company, which I was a little surprised because in print, people don't always have nice things to say about, our suppliers. So that's why you're here. First, you guys are supposed to be moving soon, or did you move yet?
No, we're moving soon. We're actually moving in a few weeks' time from now. We should be fully in the new place June 1, and fingers crossed, mostly operational at that point too.
Tell me about the new building, what you have and where you're coming from.
Sure. So for the last 10 years, we've leased space in Elgin, Illinois, and we have 3 units conjoined, 2 units conjoined, and then 1 separate, which is our service bay. And so we've just simply outgrown it over the last several years. So we decided to build our own. We found a greenfield development area, and we broke dirt about a year ago, and we're building a new facility. It's not huge. It's beautiful, but it's not huge. It's about 25,000 square feet. It'll have a approximate 5,000 square foot demo facility, a great training facility, very nice machine refurbishment center, and just some beautiful office space. So we've custom designed it to sort of fit our brand image and our quality image. And really, we're here to stay. Our roots are now very, very deep in West Dundee, Illinois, which is just 25 minutes west or so of Chicago's O'Hare Airport. So conveniently located, actually more conveniently located for all of our current employees. So that's a bonus.
Perfect.
And it's there to support our ability to grow, which has been happening very nicely over the last several years, thanks to customers like the ones that you're talking to that tend to like us. So I'm honored to be here and to talk to you.
Cool. So how many other companies in the last little while have decided to move and break ground and build a building? I don't know of too many.
I have no idea, but the time came from us. And to be fair, timing is always a funny thing. But when we made the decision, and last year as we're breaking ground and tariffs are popping off all over the place, we maybe second guessed for about 1 second. And then we decided, no, the best way through it is to get through it. And it's the right strategic choice. And we believe in staying to the strategic path and trusting in our ability to grow and in the products that we have and the team that's around us. And it's been paying off. And to be fair, our customers across the US and in Canada, which are the markets that we look after here out of the Chicagoland, they continue to give us a vote of confidence. And we continue to do our best to serve their businesses every day.
Yeah, moving into something new. Is it a Leeds building?
No, it's not a Leeds building. It's not technically a Leeds building. It's as green as we could make it. We did some interesting things that are a little bit unusual. For instance, we have triple paned glass, and we have tons of glass. So the insulation value is tremendous. It's very energy efficient. We've got 400 solar panels on the roof, which is consistent with our sustainability goals as an organization. So we're doing things we feel the proper way, although it's not technically a LEED certified building.
Well, I think if you've got everything else going, the only difference between maybe your building and a LEED certified building is you're not spending tens of thousands of dollars to have engineers to come in to give you a LEED seal of approval stamp.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like you know what? It's like FSC. I know plenty of printers that never wanted to do the FSC certification because for the $4,000, it was a crock of shit. We can get into that or leave it for another day.
Yep.
Now there's more not doing it, but when you're buying paper and it comes in a box, it says FSC certified from the mill.
Hey, by the way, just a sidebar, FSC does nothing for the printer.
I'm happy you said that. I'm so happy you said that. First of all, nobody wants the FSC logo anymore because it doesn't mean anything, kind of like the recycled and recyclable logos. And I never felt that FSC did anything for the printer. Actually, I'll tell you, I used to. So when all these certifications came out, I was FSC, PFI, and PFC, SFI, whatever, all three of them for 12 grand a year, strictly from a marketing perspective.
That's right.
It's not that I was green or not green. It's what everyone was talking, like when everyone wanted ISO 9000, no one talks about it anymore. We went out, we had it all for the marketing to say we were the first and we were this. And at the end of the day, nobody even asked.
Right.
And I know everyone talks about sustainability, but nobody asked. And, for FSC, you have to keep all your dockets in order and send them in this and send them in that. And that's really a waste of our time. They used to say, I say, why? Well, if you mix paper up, I go, who mixes paper up? It comes in for a job. If I mix paper up, I'd be out of business.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
I will tell you, I think SGP is pretty good. That, it's got its own thing, but it does force you to improve processes as the printer.
Right.
It's better than FSC.
FSC is just tracking the box, which I've never had anyone come back to me after and say, could you please track that paper? So anyways, not to be on FSC or anything, but I think, printers spend a lot of money and we should not be hosed anymore. Right? So
it's good not to get hosed.
Well, you know what? Only especially today as things get more expensive.
Yeah, that's right.
We got to watch the hosing.
Yeah, so. Well, that's right. Well, printers are constantly under margin pressure. I mean, and external costs rise. I mean, even just recently, paper products continue to go up and up and up. I mean, it's hard. It's not easy in the print industry to manage your cost base well.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm off a little, but I always question when I hear hard to manage. Well, I go to the grocery store. They have no problem raising the price of blueberries when they go up, and people still buy blueberries. People are still going to buy print. I think or a lot of people within the industry, it's just easy to complain about it all and give in. But if I look today at some of the people that I know that are doing niche printing, better printing, or investing big money in their businesses and they want a return, they're not just giving in to anyone who wants a lower price. They're sticking to the guns a little. And our whole industry had an opportunity during COVID to readjust our pricing and keep it up there. And some did, and a lot didn't. And I don't know what they're thinking, because as consumers, when we go out there, everything we buy is more, right? I remember, I remember someone asking me to send something. I said, I'm going to charge you $30 for the courier. Well, that's crazy. But what do you think a courier costs today? I said, you can't start your car for under $10 and you don't have an employee, right? And then they're like, yeah, okay, I guess.
Yeah. You got to be diversified. Bring true value into the marketplace to your clients. Don't just be a Me Too seller. I mean, in any industry, if you're Me Too, you're going to get washed up today. You have to deliver value to the people that you serve, and when you do that, you may be able to get a higher price for it. You won't always, but you increase your odds significantly.
You have to start off at what's fair, what's really fair for you to. First of all, every business has to make money, right? And I actually had a great line for customers. I quote a job, and I've said it before, but it's a good one. I quote a job for 10 grand. I'm rounding the number off and present it. And the customer says, oh, 10 grand, that's a lot of money. Is there anything you could do on it? I was like, you probably didn't even read the quote. They just go to the bottom line of their So I said to him, well, hang on a sec. I said, well, let me put it back on you. I said, the job's 10 grand, but it cost me $8,200 to produce. So my true profit is really $1,800 on the job. How much of that would you like back? And he said, he goes, whoa. He goes, how could you only be making 1,800? I go, because that's how the industry is. That's my 20 something, whatever it is, percent. And that's all it is. I said, I kid you not. I said, the machine was $3 million. There's two guys on it for $100 an hour. You know my rent, same rent as you. I got hydro. You have no hydro. And at the end, he goes, whoa, I didn't know that. He goes, okay, just leave it at it. We're good. So I took the time to make a joke about it. Yeah. But I had to put it out there, and we should be comfortable to talk to everybody about the cost of our investments, because a lot of companies that we sell are not spending capital money on 500 grand, $2 million plus, right? Yeah. The others
That's
buy,
right.
sell, they buy a little product, they mix it in a jar and they sell it or whatever they do. But I find when you take the time to properly explain or to invite your customers over for a tour and walk them through the process,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then it's harder for them to, I'll just say, haggle with you because they see the footprint now. Right. So
Yeah.
it's, we
Yeah.
got to keep doing that. So speaking of that, and large format, like, I mean, I remember when large format started and everyone was getting 750 a square foot, and then everyone was doing it CMYK. And then all of a sudden it's down to $3 a square foot, and it doesn't matter what substrate because someone doesn't know what they're doing. You know, I then not long ago came across one of your machines at a printer, and they were doing, I even wore the shirt for you because they were doing embellishment on large format with,
Yeah.
with the coatings. And I'm not claiming to be a technical expert here because I am not, but what I saw was pretty nice. So tell me then a little bit about the large format machines and how they're doing texture or what they're doing.
Well, and I think it's one of the fun aspects of, the large format industry is that there's so many different substrates you can put beautiful imagery onto, and so many things that you can, use to bring products to life. And so in our case, some of the things that people are doing commonly would be replicating textures. So if you want to print stone faces, concrete texture, whatever you want, ripple on water effect, etc., you can do that by building up layers of ink. You could do that with or without a varnish mix, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So that's a very popular feature, and we're not unique in our ability to do that. UV printers in general can do texture. What separates us is how precise we're able to do that and how high we can build up those texture layers without losing the integrity of the texture. And then varnish effects. Varnish effects is a very easy way to inline build different lenticular effects. You've seen some of our sample prints where you get this sort of 3D effect. It's commonly used in some retail applications. We see it in some sporting good applications with, let's say, player cards or Pokemon settings, things of that nature, or just accentuating, raindrops on an umbrella or the sweat off of a beer can. So you can then take what would look like otherwise maybe a flat advertisement and bring some haptic effect to it. And it's amazing when you do that, how fast people gravitate toward the one that has some sort of embellishment. And you can tell instantly because the human nature is they want to touch it. And as soon as you make that connection, that you realize that's what print is about. It's about making connections with people through the printed medium. And so we can do that on all sorts of substrates, and we can bring different finishes to life for print and can do it in line. There's plenty that can do it near line and so forth in other formats, but it's fun to be able to do that on our flatbed or our roll-to-roll printers.
So how is it that you could do it and the others can't?
Well, they can do it. What separates us tends to be just the high degree of precision and reliability that our devices are known for. If you talk to any of our clients, they'll inevitably tell you about the robustness of the machine and the fact that they never see our service people. By the way, that's a plus.
So hang on.
You don't want the service guy to be employee of the month.
Before you you definitely don't want a service guy. But the reason I'm interjecting is we were chatting before, and this kind of blew me away because I've never heard this. I've never experienced it. And as a print owner, if you're listening, like, listen up, because maybe you could do this to get the others to do the same. But you said you don't sell service contracts.
Yeah, that's right. We don't. Well, why would we? You don't need one. Why would we sell you something you don't need? One. Keep more of that $1,800 profit in your pocket.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and I think that's amazing because the others, I think they make all their profit on their service contracts.
Well, so something about SwissQ Print that you and I've talked about in the past is we are a private family-owned company and built really on the back of engineers who have had a vision and a desire to really serve the client base well. Well, how do you serve them well? Well, part of that should be a reliable product that they don't have to spend a lot of money supporting once it's been purchased. And so if you build it well and you don't cut corners on the build. By the way, you're going to likely pay more potentially for the build.
Because you're building a stronger
because you
machine.
Correct. And if you don't compromise on the components and things that go in there, then you can deliver a product that, in the battle of print or the chaos of print, the last thing that we want somebody to worry about is the printer going to print today? Is it going to print the same color today as it did yesterday? Is it going to be able to, when I walk in the morning, do I have to go through a half an hour warm-up routine because it's got a little bit of morning sickness? Eliminate all of those things so that you get maximum capacity utilization out of the investment. And then don't have text going in there. I mean, I just got done talking with a few Canadian customers, actually, about the true cost of downtime in their operations. And it was interesting how, all the obvious things of, the machine's down, you might have to do overtime, et cetera. But the cost that was interesting to me was the human capital cost that comes in the form of operator frustrations. And then when they're hurried, they make more mistakes. It was more there's an emotional cost to the employee base on the shop floor that oftentimes gets overlooked because it never shows up on your balance sheet. But if you've got pissed off employees because the machine's down and they're under pressure constantly because the delivery date never gets moved, but their tools aren't working properly, now you've got a problem as the owner or the floor manager. So take some of those variables away and give that little bit of peace of mind that, okay, at least this one bit's going to work when I need it to.
Yeah,
and that's a big part of what we're trying to achieve when we're working with clients.
But you're also jeopardizing losing a sale in the future.
Yeah.
Because when they, the plant managers, the owners always go to the operators for advice to look at something new. And, not everyone realizes it, but they have a big say in what's coming.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could say we delivered on that perfectly all the time. We don't. I mean, it's a product and it has things that pop up.
Nothing's 100%.
Exactly.
Right. But so on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give you guys as a number that will hold you to for being, you got that part, That I slid in?
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you rate yourself in terms of,
honestly, good? How do you answer that without sounding sort of arrogant, which I don't want to be? Well, I'd say we're probably, honestly, I would say we're a 9. I would say we're a 9. And I would say and it's, relative to our peers for sure. I think in my opinion, I think hands down our overall performance in that is second to none. I'm absolutely second to none. Doesn't mean other people don't have good equipment. There are plenty that do. I think almost everybody has pretty good equipment.
Okay, listen. But stop with the others. All you people, stop with the others. We're talking to you. Okay? But you know what? I could tell you that in talking to a few people, I've heard nice comments like that. And that's why I ask, because it's important. I'll just tell you, I was seeing somebody, not in a relationship, but just a client thing. And they were going out to get, and you have nothing to do with this, by the way, but they were going out to look at new machines for their business. And they would see a couple different companies and they had conversations, tell them what they want. Company would say, okay, we'll get back to you. We'll send you some samples. And they would send samples that weren't even printed in the right black or on the right material.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what the fuck? That is your first step to losing the deal, right? Because the people are asking you, and then the excuses and all the responses are just awful. Like, just say, I don't have the ink. We're going to be a week. Don't try to mix something up because it has to match. So, So I've heard mainly nice things. I've heard a couple people, an installation take a little longer, but we're also anal and uptight that 1 minute past the expected date, we're getting already, nervous.
Yeah.
So it's good like that. Tell me, give me some examples of some of the best work you've seen some of your clients produce.
Oh my gosh.
One or two.
There's so many. So one that just sort of happened to pop into my mind, and it was done more for an open house event that this printer was hosting out there on the west coast of the U.S. And they have one of our printers, and they replicated Seattle's famous gum wall. if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen it?
I
The
haven't
gum.
been there, but I've heard people
Okay,
talk
you've
about it.
heard of it. So they replicated this, and you could walk through this gum wall, and they replicated it they used our neon inks, and then so these things were fluorescing through the gum wall, and of course the gum was textured using texture print capability to replicate the gum on the gum wall, and the whole thing was just fantastic. It was very creative. It was very intricate. The detail was extraordinary. And I think it was fun. It was very, very fun. And then I'm trying to think some other more interesting ones. I don't know. We have so many of our clients that are doing just everyday interesting art and photography for like big commercial interiors, like boutique hotels and restaurants and things of that nature. And you walk in and you see things that you swear are probably hand painted original, and then you realize it's a reproduction. And it just blows
Wow.
your mind. And I just think sometimes the beauty of what people are able to do is pretty incredible. And I just think the creativity of printers it's amazing. I mean, it's a very creative, awesome industry to be in, just because, all of the craftsmanship and creativity combined just make it a pretty cool place.
Well, listen, I mean, we're an industry with a lot of complaints. Right. And we talk about, attitudes and issues and all the printers that race to the bottom line. What we don't talk about enough is some of the amazing, great print companies that are out there, right? That really put print at another level, and more people should look and appreciate and then maybe adopt what they do, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because a lot of that, first of all, every print company starts at the top. The leadership and the culture come from the owner. And I have seen too many companies that lack good leadership with zero culture. And those companies really, I'm going to say, don't have much of a chance of going up to the next level. The companies that I see that succeed are where the owner management is right in with them, encouraging everything that's going on, encouraging people to take chances, to think outside the box. I hate that phrase, outside the box, but and those are the ones that do it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting. And then it seems like there's a larger and larger separation between the ones that are growing and making those great, courageous leadership choices and building these cultures, and the ones that are just sort of stagnant to declining. And I think some common things that we see, one is, you nailed it, it's all about the leadership and their perspective. And I think one of the qualities the leaders of those companies are bringing to the table is, regardless of the circumstance of the day, they're sticking to their strategy and they're making the right decisions. Right.
Correct.
They will alter the tactics along the way, but there's a continuum they're going after. They stick with it, and their teams are going with them. And that, in our case, what that may look like is they're still making the right investment choices, either in people, process, or equipment. They're not waiting for the right combination of things. They actually lean into the storm. And there's a Toronto-based customer of ours that's done that. And I was talking to their owner not terribly long ago, and he was saying that really, like, every sort of 5-6 years, they do a reevaluation, and they decide where are they going to intentionally pivot where they can leverage their strengths.
Intentionally.
Yes, very intentionally. And what the decisions they make are often looking counterintuitive to where the masses are going. And every time they do that, they've had step function growth along the way. And as a result, they've got this, really diversified client base. They've got a diversified product portfolio. And they just to continue every year, just ching, 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 and they're separating. And they build cultures where, people are valued, people can explore, people can risk, things that may fail, but you learn from the failures. So they have these great cultures. And our industry is full of companies that way, but it's also full of companies that are legacy thinking and are just stuck in the mud.
Unfortunately, there's more legacy than the other. The problem with the legacy also is, I was just on a call with a bunch of next gen people in the print industry, people
Yeah.
like a lot younger than me. And it was really nice to hear this whole group talking
Yeah.
about what they want to do. Some of them were second or third generation. Some were people just coming out of school that got into print. Like it was really a mixed pot of whatnot. But, one of the things that I heard them say was, they referenced the old people in our industry
Yeah.
that, maybe aren't moving out of the way or aren't taking them under their wing enough, or people hiring them. And then, every time they want to say something, people don't want to hear what they have to say. And, I think you have to hear what they have to say, because if you get one or two good ideas, then that could take you in another direction or help you pivot or do something
Right.
intentionally.
That's right.
Right. And I think if more people would sit and listen to their kids of all ages, we'd have a better understanding of what maybe they're thinking and where they want to go.
Yeah.
Right. I was listening to another conversation the other day about kids with phones. And what came up was, the kids today are born with the phones in their hand. We as grown-ups are doing what our parents did to us, right? And saying to them, put it down. I remember. Well, they weren't around to remember. So they're
Right.
not going to relate the same way when my parents would say, bread used to be 50 cents a loaf. I'd like, okay, prove it. Like, I always had an answer. But if we think back a little to how our parents were with us and how we didn't like certain things that they did or said to us, we shouldn't be saying it to them, because we need them. When the average pressman is, 60 years old, we have a problem.
That's right.
Right. And
That's right.
it's just so important. So all the time, I can't stress the young people enough, because we need them. I can't stress that leadership has to acknowledge them. Like I even say
Yeah.
to leadership, hey, you got young people in the company. Why don't you engage them to do some social media for you with their phones in their own time? Watch how happy
So
they'll be to do something nice.
are you saying printers should learn how to be more contemporaneous in their marketing?
That's a big word for printers, by the way. But yeah. And I'm saying, if you don't know, take a deep breath and listen to someone in your company,
Yeah.
right? Because you're
Yeah.
not going to keep people when you do that anymore. The other thing I think we learned from young people is there's no reason to work 7 days a week for somebody. We're not on this planet to work the most of our time and enjoy a little bit. I think we have to figure out how to work harder, but a little less, and have more time for our heads so that we could put more back into our work.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many more options now. I mean, production, there's certain constraints with production it has to produce, but I think,
Absolutely.
but I think, the work hard, you now have the capacity. It's like, are you going to do endurance training or more HIT training, right? High intensity, short duration. You can do that and be equally successful and leave more space for, personal enjoyment of. But I think the industry, I'm seeing more young people starting to move into some leadership roles in the industry. I think it's fantastic.
Agreed.
We're a relatively young organization still, which is great. I'm on the other end of the spectrum, but my slogan is never let the old man in. Morgan Freeman said that. So it's like, that dude can stay away, but that helps you stay young. I know plenty of young people that still think old. So, it's not just the age thing. It's where's your mind and what are you learning and what are you investing in and how are you challenging yourself every day? And I think there's plenty of opportunities for that in this industry.
Well, first thing is, I think when you get to be a certain age, do not have dinner at 6 o'clock.
True.
The minute you start having dinner at 6 o'clock and you want to be home before the sun sets, you're fucked. Right? Like my daughter my daughter just had a baby boy, so I have my first grandson. But I said to her, I go, does that mean I got to come in before 2 a.m. now? She goes, absolutely not. Don't change. Right.
That's
And
right.
then when I sit and I hang out with some of the younger folks, it's like no one believes my age, because I'm like leaving the bar the last one with them. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do just for appearance purposes.
There you go.
Right. And to get the most out of them. But young people, even the equipment today, it's more of a video game that we're playing, right? With the computers and the interfaces and the platforms. We need to talk about that more. People still think when they hear print dirty, and you're not getting dirty anymore. Like even the offset presses have either, pipes running into the press with ink or canisters with ink. It's not like the days when you go, I mean, I never got dirty because I never ran a press, didn't want
Yeah.
to,
And you still have all your fingers, so that's a good thing.
but I have no hair. But, you always, it's a give and take for something, right? But it's just always it's just so important that you have to keep it going. It's for young, do you have any young people competitions that you create?
Gosh, young people competitions, not specifically. I'm hyper competitive, so I think we turn everything we do into a competition just sort of inherently. I mean, and so people like to win, and I think we, I don't know, try to do our best to make sure people feel that they've got a great voice, they've got opportunities to try things, and maybe they'll work, maybe they won't, and if it doesn't, we turn that into tuition that you learn from, and to try to create an environment where people have space to express themselves and try new things. And I think that's working so far. I mean, I guess the best way to tell it is, we've got a nice camaraderie in our smallish team here in North America that we'll continue to build on, and a strong culture. And I think that carries through it carries through to how we service and support customers. Happy employees will end up making happy customers.
Happy anybody just makes for happy
Yeah.
life. I mean, I don't watch TV news I haven't watched it for years really, because all it does is it gives me anxiety, makes me want to kill myself,
And don't do
and
that.
makes me crazy as to how we actually live when we're all smarter than that. I always
Mm-hmm.
question, even when I watch the news, why does and I know why, because it's money, but if every news station would get together and decide to start off with a good story, a happy story, a successful story, maybe we could build a little momentum, or they could build a little momentum there to make people less crazy.
Well, we do weekly team meetings, and we start all of them with everybody just going around the table sharing a personal and a professional best. Because we all have them, and the idea behind that is start with something that's positive, and oh, by the way, then we learn something about each other along the way, and we're with each other constantly, and
We
either
all
directly.
know we
So we
work
might as
together,
well,
right?
yeah, yeah. And it's not that we need to walk away best buddies holding hands all the time. That's not the point. But we need to understand each other and different perspectives that people have, and integrate these ideas into something that can.
I used to, participate in different groups and do different things, and we would have team building exercises and
Yeah,
different activities. And I remember even in the beginning, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. What a pain in the ass, and like blah, blah, blah. And
yeah,
then, honest to God, after the first few, I was like, whoa, not only is the activity cool, but you're forced to meet other people, right? And then you're like pleasantly surprised because you might not have met them on your own, even though they're 10 feet
yeah,
away from you. And
yes.
then you either have things in common, or they have, things of interest that you're learning about. And you're like, whoa, sometimes I'll meet someone for like 5 minutes and I'm like, I walk away, I go, oh my God, what a dick. And then a little while later, I find myself back with them for a longer period of time where you're having different conversation. And I'm
Right.
like, I'm a dick. That person's really nice. I didn't give enough time before I made a judgment call, and then try to make less judgment calls going forward on people.
Yeah.
So I try to
Yeah.
learn from my own, things like that. But it's people who
Yeah.
make our industry go around,
Yeah.
right?
And in our industry still, it's, I think it's one of very strong human connections. Certainly at a print shop level, or even an OEM level. I mean, there's so many things that require interaction daily, and it drives me crazy when you have people in an office, near each other, and they're debating something over email or over a Slack channel or a Teams channel. It's just like, go talk to each other, have face-to-face engagement, argue it out if you have to, but human to human, it's still better.
Listen, people don't like Zooms. I'd rather have a Zoom call than pick up the telephone. At least in
For
the Zoom
sure.
call, I could see their expression when
That's
they want to
that's
tell me to go fuck myself or something, right? It's like I don't have to guess. It's out there. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to switch tracks. How did you get into this position?
well, interesting story. So my print career and the SwissQ Print trajectory had some intersecting points along the way. And one of those was through Caldera. Years ago, I was leading an organization that was in the memjet technology space, if you recall that single pass technology that they still have out there. And Caldera was building a RIP for our product. And so I knew the whole Caldera team and got to know them very, very well. And fast forward, when SwissQ Print was looking for somebody to come on board and lead the Americas team, they sought out and did some networking like normally. And Caldera did a mutual introduction to myself and Killian Hinterman, our CEO, and Carmen Eicher, our Chief Sales and Marketing Officer. We talked for a period of time and decided we liked each other. We had a lot of commonalities and experiences and values, and it just felt like a really great fit, and it's been a great fit. So it's been 3.5 years now, and my first day on the job was Printing United in 2022. It was a blast. Well, it was great because it's like you know so many people in the industry.
That was also the first show after COVID. So.
Yeah, it was just a great way to start and really get a handle on the culture of the company and how customers interacted with the company, watching how salespeople performed with customers or prospective customers that came along. So it was a really, really good way just to kind of observe and learn the organization. And it's just been a joy.
And how is it being that we're here in North America and you're owned by a Swiss company who, you know, there's different thoughts and, you know, the way we present ourselves?
There are. I mean, most of my career has been very internationally oriented, and I've spent a lot of time working with and for European companies. So I understand to the degree an American can, a European mindset. And the SwissQ Print culture is aligned with mine personally. So and how we, want to deliver quality, how we want to serve clients, there's been zero conflict in any of that thinking. And so it's been very, very good. And then we've just built a relationship of trust and performance. And to be fair, we have a lot of latitude here, but there's very strong communication. I mean, I'm talking with people from Switzerland, probably on a several times a week basis. They're very, very supportive of our initiatives here in North America and our team. We get all the support that we need when we need it, but we're also very equipped. I mean, so we're a, fully functioning subsidiary. I mean, our service team, application team, the sales, warehouse operations, administrative support. I mean, so we're pretty independently functioning, and it works really good. So I couldn't be happier, and I think that stems from the leadership at SwissQ Print on down. So and I think the fact that for me it's I've worked in the past for some big organizations that ultimately became, private equity owned. I didn't like myself in that setting because to grow, you had to become something that was maybe not you. And in this organization, all of our employees just feel like they can be themselves and the best version of themselves, hopefully. And that's part of our job as leadership, is to draw that best version of them out. And we're empowered to do that.
No, that's pretty cool. That's very good when people get to be themselves. And well, you want people to be themselves. You want them to speak. You don't want them to be afraid to speak, right?
Right.
In the older days or days ago, I mean, people get called out in a meeting. Today, it's not acceptable to do that, and never should have been acceptable then.
Yeah.
Because once somebody closes up, they don't open up so fast. And then you could be losing your best thoughts, right?
Yeah.
And I've also learned with people, you got to be really cool all the time, because you don't know what any one person's going through in their brain, either their own mental health or issue at home or family or whatever, right? So I think in these years we've learned we got to lessen our judgment in general.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean,
we're open.
That's right. And I think, look, I mean, if people feel respected, I mean, I'll just speak for myself, right? If I'm in an environment where I feel like I can be respected, my voice will be heard, whether or not somebody agrees with it or not, isn't really always the point.
Right.
But can I express myself? Can I feel safe doing it? If I feel like I'm taking a risk, can I take that leap and not feel like, someone's going to remove the rug out from under your feet, but then you tend to open up more, and I think that's just sort of human nature. And so far, we've got a good environment for that, and I believe if you interviewed our employees, they would probably tell you the same thing. But like everything else, we've got room to grow and continue to learn and expand, and we're challenged every day by new things that come up. And the few years was a good test of the organization and everybody's, I'll call it their adversity quotient. And it's been fun to see our organization rise to the occasion and deal with the knocks on the chin when they happen and just keep moving forward.
Hey, as long as you keep doing installations, it's good. Are tariffs an issue still?
Well, they're an issue still. They've
just because you don't hear people talking about it anymore, or do they just everyone just it is what it is.
I think part of that's because they've been a little bit normalized, Warren, or we've just gotten numb to all the rhetoric, that's out there. But it's still there. We're living in this 10% tariff environment now. It was 39% at one point.
So 10 straight across, or
yeah.
Actually makes it easier than trying to pick out the minerals and the metals and the percentage of whatever, right?
Yeah, but you normalize, you adapt, and you just you keep, like you said, the best way through the storm is head in.
All your consumables are from where? Here, Switzerland.
No, so we have the consumables come from two different sources. One's in the UK and one's out of South Africa. And really, it's predominantly that's ink.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. And you plenty of inventory here.
Plenty of inventory here. Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
One reason why we need a bigger warehouse.
Just for inventory is a catch-22, right? You want to have it in case people need it, but when you look at it from a P&L perspective, it's like,
I know. You just look around and you go, you just see cha-ching, cha-ching.
It doesn't end. Question off the cuff. Who should not buy your machine?
If I would say anybody who's really if you're a low price player and all you want to do is just bang out boards all day long and play in the Coroplast world or the $1.50 banner world, you're not probably well suited for us. Unless that is you're trying to reposition yourself into something else. But I think if you're not a forward thinker toward your business and somebody who's valuing versatility, precision, and reliability, if all you're looking at is acquisition price and constantly buying the lowest cost of anything, we're probably not a fit for you. But, if you're looking for versatility and you're trying to bring new things to the table, if you're trying to balance this blend of sort of high volume production and then switching into high value, shorter runs, we're a great fit for you because we give you that versatility. If
you could bring the two minds together, long volume, low margin, shorter run, higher margin.
Well, it's funny because I think, it's just like with everything, greater versioning, shorter runs, people want a little more and more interesting substrates to print on. So we're seeing a lot more interest from print houses that were traditionally just large volume, 5x10, 4x8 sheets all day long, every day, just pump it out, starting to show more interest because their customer base is changing their demand patterns. And we can be very fast, but very productive, right? So if you need, 30 to 100 boards an hour, we've got a great fit for you that doesn't compromise on your ability to then also do more of the specialty work that's going to have a much higher margin and revenue per square foot. So it's a nice, so I think some of the changes in the marketplace are leaning a little bit in favor of the values we deliver as a company.
What are the biggest mistakes print buyers make when buying equipment or large format?
Not looking at the human impact of the choices that they're making. So I think they sell themselves short on the ROI. They look at things like service contract, acquisition price, ink cost.
Strictly from a numbers perspective.
Strictly from a numbers standpoint. I think the ones that then look at it more broadly to say, how long am I really going to hold on to the device? How long do I want to hold on to the device? What does my after-sales support and service look like? What do those running costs really look like? and what's the human impact to my team that has to operate this day in and day out, those companies generally make better decisions. It doesn't mean we're going to be always the right decision, but I think if they look more broadly at the decision process and bring some of their people to the table that have to work on that equipment day in and day out, then they're being a little bit more thoughtful in that decision-making process.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me like when we had our offset presses and, you spend all this money and then you go and you're buying your paper. And I was always a sappy house because I always liked the paper, the quality and the way it ran. And then others were buying other brands that were 10 and 15 cents a pound less because of the paper purchase. But it ended up taking them hours longer on the press to run. And in some of my groups, I would sit there and look and go, really? Like you're using cash outlay versus labor outlay.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, it's the old adage of you get what you pay for. I think it's more true than.
So and this is a human question, I guess, if we all know that, why do you think people still go make those dumb decisions that they make?
Because we can't help ourselves. I mean, we're trying to, shave off seconds. We're trying to shave off dollars. We're trying, we've got this quest to just be more productive with less spend, and it's a compelling quest. So sometimes you find yourself in it's like you can't help yourselves. I mean, you can obviously, but I think there's just a tendency to lean that way. If I'm a buyer and I'm looking at two things, I want to be able to normalize these two things so that I can make the best financial decision. And sometimes I'm trying to do that so I can leverage one guy against the other guy. So I need to kind of boil things down to a common denominator and then leverage on that. I don't know. I mean, I find myself and at times and just, my own personal decision making, it's like, do I go the less expensive way or do I go a little bit more and feel like I'm going to have more, satisfaction? And I sometimes catch myself kind of going, wait a minute. I'm doing exactly what I preach against doing.
Yeah. On my side, when I'm out buying fishing equipment or fishing rods,
Yeah.
I can go with the $40 or $80 Shimano lower end rod, or I can go with the $700 G Loomis. Somehow I always end up with the G Loomis because I believe you get what you pay for. But I also know with that rod, when it's in my hand with the reel, it's more of a feel. It's more delicate, more sensitive.
Yeah.
Sounding like I'm talking to a lady, but and I get more results catching fish because I feel better. So I put that kind of the same theory. Even when I plan a trip, it's as if I'm planning a fishing trip, but I use it. I try to adopt the same thinking 360 degrees all the time so as not to deviate. And even when it was buying equipment, it was looking at what the bigger outcome is and how I'm going to get there as opposed to just the shortest, lowest price.
And so sounds like you're making those choices, then really they're kind of rooted in your values, right? And if you value those things more, you're willing to pay for it, right? So if somebody's making buying decisions consistent with what they value, then it's generally going to be a decent decision. And that really has not much to do. I mean, price becomes part of that, but there's so much more than just a pricing decision at the end of the day.
I think it has to be.
Absolutely.
Right? Same as you buy an offset press. Why? For packaging. Why are you buying a KBA over another? Because KBA is what it is. They are the press of packaging.
Yeah.
And not that the others can't do good work. They do.
That's right.
Right. But it's specific they're not telling you to go out and just buy it just for your commercial work. Right. Well, maybe the 40-inch 56. No, but no, it's like that. So I just know that. And then I look at all these company owners that have had 10 and 20 years experience. And I still wonder, how are they still stuck doing the same thing?
I don't know. I hope 20 years from now, I'm not stuck in same thinking because things will evolve. We have to constantly challenge our thinking, I believe.
Well, I find my thinking has evolved every few years over the last so many years just because of what life throws at you.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And I mean, at the same time, Now, I mean, there's a group out there now called Sheets for Brain. I don't know if you
Yeah,
must have seen them
I'm
around, right?
familiar. Yes.
So Chris and David and Jessica
Yeah.
and oh my God, I'm at a loss for the the John Bailey. Okay, in case he's
Okay.
listening, I shouldn't forget. And also very important what they're bringing up, right? I mean, it's it's big now, the mental health, but the truth is, a lot of people suffer, so you got to be aware of people, and even doing that and try to make their place a little better has payback because it comes back tenfold. Because you can't always be whipping people to go do things that you want, right?
Well, I like groups like that I think are pretty cool because it should never be, it should only be celebrated that when people who have common interests or challenges or whatever come together to talk about those things in a human way, and you can still be highly productive, highly value producing. It's so it's like the stigmas. It's nice when the stigmas go away.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I think just as people, whatever, we could all do a
Yeah.
little better. We see it in
Yes.
front of us. We know. We all know when something stupid comes out of our mouth, right? I mean, that's the main reason I wear smaller shoes. They're easier to get out of my mouth when they get stuck,
It's
right?
good. Yeah. Well, we've all been there. I say a lot of dumb things pretty much every week. Just ask my wife. She'll tell you.
I'm sure she will. For that reason, I won't ask her, right? Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we're coming up to the end. I can go on and on and on. I do hope to make your open house when you have it and come down. I love new buildings. I love to see new things
Love to have you.
and the equipment. That'll be cool. Any last minute words for our listeners?
No, not really. I would just say thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I always enjoy our conversations. I think our print industry needs lots of voices, and I'm glad that you're very open in expressing yours. And I think for people that may be listening, just stay at what you're doing and press in, keep doing what you're doing for the industry. We need great thinkers, we need great doers, and honestly, the industry collectively, we need to keep pushing it forward. And I think that's the best thing we can do. And if you're a naysayer out there, change your thinking.
Yeah, no. And I would like to hear more printers opening up about what they think about the industry, how they see things. I have conversations with printers one-on-one and we're right on the same page. And then I get out into a public forum and the guy or girl that I just spoke to all of a sudden doesn't know how to talk anymore.
Yeah.
Like no one should be afraid of anyone. As long as we talk openly, respectfully, talk is important because I think that's how we all learn on both sides,
Exactly.
And like,
Exactly.
even the OEMs, I knock the OEMs all the time, but rightfully so because they're big public companies and some of the people get upset with me. But the real deal is I am a printer, and on the print side, it's the printer who goes into his pocket that signs his house, his mortgage away and takes the risk. Anyone on the selling side has no risk with the printer.
Well, I will tell you I'm glad you bring that up, because one of the things that I shared with our service team and sales team, and our application teams in particular, is they have to understand that anytime somebody is choosing to buy something from us, they are making a risk decision. And our jobs are to make sure that that risk decision turns out in their favor. And that has to be recognized, because a lot of, this is the bread and butter, right? We're selling a printer, but it's the factory. It has to do what they're intending it to do. So don't overpromise it. Make sure it's going to work. And particularly the service guys, when we go out, if something's down, we want to go out there fully equipped to deal with the problems in that moment, because the faster that thing gets up and printing, it's now making money again for the person that made the investment choice. If it's sitting down for 4 hours, or God forbid 4 days or whatever, because we send somebody out to evaluate it and then call back for parts, and then sometimes that happens, but get in and out as fast as you can, as clean as you can, and work at that shop as long as they will allow you to work there to fix the problem and get it going. Because if it's printing, it makes money. If it's not printing, it's not making money.
I don't even know if I should laugh or cry because and a good cry, not a bad cry, a good cry. What you just said is the empathy I talk about when I talk about OEMs working with printers. And I thank you for that, because it is the truth. And I won't mention any of the other OEM names like HP that have come to our place and coming, but parts, and still can't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't talk like that. So I appreciate that. And I'm sure everybody listening appreciates it.
Sure.
I'm going to end it on that note, because that was such a good note that, it's like your last bite at the bottom of the plate when you're eating and you scooped up everything and your mouth is just like tasting it. So that was just epic. Thank you for that one.
Good.
Thank you for your time. I always appreciate that.
You're welcome.
To everybody else, I hope you stayed and listened to this. If you stayed and listened to this, please be sure to share it with someone else, because they should listen to this. As always, if I could be of any help to you, reach out. If you have a topic you want me to talk about, do let me know. If you want to be on, let me know. Otherwise, that's the end until the next time. Thank you all for listening. Cheers. And I love print. Ciao.